Hey guys, in this video, we're going to be talking about Gwen, the Hallowed Seamstress. She is the newest addition to League of Legends and started out as a doll. Yeah, I don't know. But today we're going to go through her abilities, combos, strengths, weaknesses, and the final 3 tips to carry in solo queue. And as always, if you like the video and want to get better at League of Legends, then consider subscribing. I also stream solo queue on this channel every Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday morning. So make sure to hit that bell icon if you want to get notified when I go live. Gwen's passive is 1000 cuts. This allows her auto attacks, the center of her Q, and ultimate to deal bonus % max health damage. Basically, champions with lots of HP will take more damage from this passive than squishy champions. There are also 3 smaller aspects to this passive that really help out Gwen. You know how Riot is. Any new champion needs a minimum of like 50 passives. But all of these small buffs help Gwen's quality of life. The first is that she heals for a small percentage of the damage dealt. The second helps her last hit farm pretty easy without giving her too much OP wave clear. And the third really isn't a buff, but a cap to the amount of damage her passive does to monsters. This caveat just makes sure that Gwen won't be abused in the jungle upon release, and to make sure she's a solo lane champion, specifically in the top lane. But if Riot in the future wanted to shake up the meta and make her a jungler, they're free to do so. Gwen's Q is snip snip. That just sounds so bad. Gwen's autos can stack up to 4 times, adding the amount of time she can snip her enemy. This is an attack in the shape of a cone, and she can do this at least twice and do it more if she has more stacks, with the final snip with her Q dealing the most damage. If Gwen's enemy is in the middle of her snip cone, they can get hit with true damage and her passive % health damage, which gives Gwen some healing and sustain as well. This is her bread and butter damage ability, so make sure you get some stacks and then weave this into your combos for the max DPS. Gwen's W is Hollowed Mist. Gwen can cast this mist around her, and while she's in it, she gains bonus armor and magic resistance. She can also move this zone once, or it will happen automatically if she tries to leave it. While she's in her mist, she cannot be targeted by enemies outside of the mist. So if a Caitlyn is trying to auto her or ult her, she must wait until Gwen leaves the mist or go inside the mist to do that. Gwen's E is Skip and Slash. Gwen can dash a short distance, and doing this buffs her abilities, giving her bonus attack speed and magic damage on hit. This is a great mobility tool, and the cooldown on this is halved whenever she autos. Plus her E is great because it's an auto animation reset, so you can auto to maximize her DPS in a close fight. She can also cast this ability during any of her other abilities, and she can use her abilities during this ability so they can set up some nasty burst and some crazy outplays. I'm really excited for the combos in the future that people are going to come up with as this champion is mastered, because you can pretty much cast everything at the same time. Gwen's ultimate ability is Needlework. This ability really closely resembles Aurelia's old ultimate, and I love the way they integrated with an AP fighter's kit. Well done, Riot. This is actually creative. Gwen gets needles that she can shoot in a specific direction. The range of this ability is relatively far, and she slows any champion's hit by it. In order to unlock her second needle, she needs to auto or hit her Q, and the same applies for her third stack of her ultimate. Basically, she shoots a needle, has to auto or Q to shoot the second one, and then auto or Q to shoot the third one. Each time she ults, she does more damage than the previous one. This is great for prolonged fights because if you can get the final cast of your ultimate off, you'll have done a ton of damage to your opponent, likely killing them. Before making this video, I was in a close 1v1 with Gwen, and I almost killed her until I died to the crazy burst of her third needle shot. So watch out for this. It does crazy damage, heals her, and slows. Gwen has a pretty complicated kit with her auto animation cancels, E getting lower cooldowns, and her ultimate needing other abilities or autos to hit before recasting. So by no means is this a comprehensive combo list, and you already know from watching my videos that the best way to learn a champion and their combos is to play them a lot in practice tool and normal games so that you can familiarize yourself with what they do and what combo is best for each situation that you find yourself in. That all being said, I'll show you a basic level 3 and a basic level 6 combo that can get you started. Alright, let's talk about Gwen's strengths before getting into her weaknesses and final tips to carry. The first strength is that she has great scaling. I've already laned against Gwen a couple of times, and it is totally evident that if you can get an early lead or just not feed early as Gwen, you will do a ton of damage later in the game, and she also has a lot of 1v1 and split push potential. Once she gets her first 2 items, which at the time of recording is Riftmaker and Nashor's Tooth, she is a great duelist and can push side lanes like there's no tomorrow. Her second strength is that she has great mobility and kiting. This is perfect for melee champions in the top lane. I've been spamming Fiora in solo queue recently, and although Fiora beats her in the early game, Gwen does get the upper hand earlier because her shroud and her dash allow her to move around and reposition, not allowing Fiora to proc her vitals. And by the time she procs them, it's too late, and Gwen probably has a fully stacked Q and her third ult ready to blow her up. Gwen is honestly a breath of fresh air in the top lane and will offer a lot of mobility and skill into a boring lane. Most bruisers and tanks in the top lane rely on getting some lucky kills in order to snowball the game, but Gwen has the kit to find windows of opportunity in order to skillfully get good trades and counter all-ins with her mobility and surprising burst. Gwen's third strength is that she has a great shock factor. I haven't ever used this strength in a video before, but Gwen has some very interesting and refreshing mechanics and a game style that many top laners won't be ready for. She was made from the ground up to be an AP duelist in the top lane, and besides Mordekaiser, she's really the first of her kind. This will also influence the way that she takes trades and all-ins because of her AP items, and also the way she weaves in autos with the rest of her burst heavy abilities. All of this put together will give her an edge in most matchups for a long time as people try and figure out what in the world she does. And this would apply to most champions, but Gwen is a new breed and a role that's been defined by bruisers and tanks for years. So if you can get some experience on her, you'll be well on your way to having an advantage in most of your games because players just don't know what Gwen does. Gwen's first weakness is her early laning. Gwen does struggle early in the game because of her cooldowns, and her autos don't do much damage except some % health damage, so without her abilities and without items, she doesn't do a whole lot. Whenever I lose to Gwen, it isn't because she outdamaged me, but it's because I dove her like an idiot and gave her free gold and XP. She probably won't win a 1v1 in the early game like pre-6 into the meta top bruisers, so just be wary of her early game and play very passive if the wave is pushing to you, and use your Q to last hit minions. If your wave is pushing, make sure that you slow push so that you aren't put in a freeze, and you can have the bigger wave to help you if you're all in or if you get ganked. Her second weakness is team fighting. Gwen isn't a top tier split pusher or a top tier team fighter. Usually a champion is at least decent at one or the other, but Gwen is mainly a skirmisher. Think like Lee Sin or Mordekaiser. They thrive in the 1v1 and 1v2 fights in the mid game with their high mobility and burst. So this means that you'll want to play aggressive and take river skirmishes and jungle fights, but be careful in the full 5v5 team fights. Try and flank, and if you can, hit as many champions with your ult as possible. It has insane range and will apply a massive slow to the other team if you can manage to get it on multiple people. Her third weakness is that she's poor at rounding out a team composition. Gwen is not an initiator or a tank, so she doesn't really offer much in the form of team fighting like we just mentioned, so you need to be very careful when picking her in champ select. Now, as a caveat, compositions in solo queue really don't matter, but if you don't have a tank or any sort of initiation in your other lanes, then consider playing a different champion because top lane is usually where the team expects that to come from. And if you do have this problem and you decide to play Gwen anyway, then don't take 5v5 fights unless you absolutely have to. Focus on split pushing and skirmishes and only team fight as a last resort. Gwen's first tip to carry is to just chill out in the early game. Now this sounds a little bit counterintuitive when you're trying to get a lead in carry, but you can't really fight for wave control levels 1 through 3 unless the person you're playing against is really passive. So when the wave is pushing towards you, just chill out and CS the melees, but don't overextend for the ranged minions, and use your Q to CS if you need to while staying as healthy as possible. Remember, Gwen has a massive 2-item power spike. Once you get there, you'll be able to 1v1 or even like 1v2 just about anyone. The second tip to carry is to get aggressive vision control when ahead or defensive control when behind. This is a concept I haven't covered too much on my channel, but it's the idea of moving your control wards around depending on the pressure you currently have on the map. Like if you're in an even game, say 10 kills to 10 kills with all of the towers still up, then having some wards in the river is a good idea, and maybe your control wards behind that. But if you have a lead, you should start moving your control wards up to the pixel brush, and then behind the red buff, and then even farther up in their jungle. And the more you keep moving up your vision, the harder it will be for you to get caught as you're looking for picks in the jungle and split pushing. This is a great way to secure your win and throw way less. The third tip to carry is to focus on farm. Gwen synergizes crazy well with her AP items, so make sure you are focusing on your farm to get those items, because without them, you're going to be pretty useless. I would even consider running Doran Shield into hard poke and tank matchups, and then grab an early cull and just focus on farming for 15 minutes. You'll have to feel it out and kind of learn how to CS and control your waves with Gwen. Guys, as always, this has been Snowta. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Come that, boys. We all win this. I'll TP in. It's a party. Man, this must have been really stupid. I got a kill. What in the world just happened?